AI-powered apps are all the rage these days. There's this magic allure around AI things that didn't exist, 5 years, 10 years ago, but now they are here. And now they're starting to infiltrate the fitness industry. But there are some big issues that we see with this that we want to make you aware of. And that's exactly what we're going to discuss with you on this week's episode of the Exercise is Health podcast. We're going to cue our introduction and we're going to dive right into this conversation. Hey, welcome back, exercisers, to the Exercise is Health podcast, brought to you by Exercise for Life Studios, where we believe that your health is your most valuable asset. And the single best thing that you can do to both boost and protect this asset is exercise. Specifically, exercise that's geared towards building the health and function of your muscles. We are your hosts, Charlie
and Julie.
And today we are discussing this idea of AI-powered fitness, the opportunity that's presented, but the big issues that you're not going to hear about from all the marketing hype around AI. We've identified 3 big issues for you and want to break those down for you today and what you can do to combat those. But before we do, we have an ask for you and we have a gift.
That's right. If you've been enjoying our podcast for 1 minute total, or 5 years, since we've been here for 5 years, we'd absolutely love it if you would leave us a rating and review. Little do you know, this is the number one way that you can show support to free podcasts just like this, and especially ours. We don't have any ads. We don't ask you to do anything crazy. So we would appreciate your support in the form of a review. Also, a lot of you have been listening to us for a while, and we have recently opened up our online fitness membership for free. All you have to do is go to www.exerciseforlifestudios.com and you can get your 2-week free membership. In this membership, we're going to be applying all the principles that we regularly talk about each and every week on this podcast. We'll be doing the exercises with you, walking you through it, talking you through all the 4 Exercise for Life principles that you guys hear about. So definitely check out this awesome deal.
So today we're discussing this idea of AI-powered fitness because right now, when this episode is being released, we are on the verge of really getting into the holiday season, the thick of the holiday season. And with that comes Black Friday deals, comes Cyber Monday deals, comes a lot of kind of New Year's resolutions, and a lot of marketing around fitness and marketing towards people that are interested in starting up their fitness journey. And one thing that we see becoming more and more of a trend are these AI-powered workouts, these AI-powered apps, these AI-powered exercise machines. And because it has AI in the name, we automatically assume, oh, it must be better or it must be good. But there's actually some really big issues that we see with this, that if you start following these AI-powered things, whatever they are, again, workouts, apps, machines, they could lead you astray in a really big way in terms of soreness, injury, inconsistency with exercise, and ultimately finding yourself in a worse position than you are right now. So we want to identify kind of these 3 big issues that we see and walk you through how to troubleshoot each of them.
Charlie, you're totally right. And you know what? I think with us being like a specialty in exercise, like that was the main thing that we were trained for. And then our second thought was like, let's start a business. Is that we really, people like us and probably other really educated fitness people that you follow, we really compete with the like advanced marketing that a lot of giant companies will come at you, especially during this month, especially next month, and especially in January, with appealing to your emotions, trying to get you into their system, although they don't really know how to accommodate a lot of people's needs. And one of the big things that we're really seeing emerging now is the use of AI in different apps or different websites or different types of workouts. And we don't want to say that AI is necessarily bad, but there are huge gaps that a lot of these fitness AI apps are leaving out, and it will then be kind of placed on you as the consumer as you're engaging with these apps. And we want to make sure that you are the most educated as you approach this season of your life, because I feel it too. In January, late December, after Thanksgiving feast, I feel like that itch to like amp up my fitness level. And that is when we are most vulnerable to jumping into unsustainable trends and things like that.
So the first big issue that we see with AI-powered fitness and AI-powered workouts is that there isn't any consideration for what you're actually feeling within your body while you're doing each exercise, like in real time, in the moment. Essentially what you're getting is a list of exercises generated and spit out by AI. And like there are some devices that they'll actually like watch you through a camera. They, meaning the AI, will watch you through a camera. And if like your form doesn't meet the textbook standard form, it'll say, oh, well, you need to do this with your elbows. And then all of a sudden, now we are back to the game that we've been playing all along with the mainstream fitness industry of try to make myself look exactly like this video, try to make myself look exactly like this image, because this is what, the mainstream fitness industry has told me. And now this is what the AI is telling me, regardless of what I'm feeling in my body. And if you've consumed our content for any period of time, you know that we are so adamantly against that, because that ultimately is what is going to lead to you feeling achy, sore, beat up, and getting injured and being inconsistent with your workouts. And so that's a huge, huge issue with these AI powered things, is because they are not able to detect like what's actually going on within your body from a symptom perspective. They're not able to give any guidance on what you should be doing to be able to not have that symptom while you're doing the exercise. And they're just going to try to keep fitting you into the mold of the gold standard version of doing the exercise.
So wait a second, Charlie. Did you just say that you don't want to match perfect form?
You do not want to match perfect form.
Oh, snap. Okay, so any of our new followers here, or if you missed some of the podcasts where we talked about this, when we exercise, we get two choices. You can either match what is quote unquote perfect form, what the textbook says, what the instructor's probably doing, or you can match what your body's saying. You get to choose one. Sometimes they are together. Sometimes your body can do the thing that looks like perfect form from, the magazine and from the textbook. But the times that happens is rare, even for Charlie and I. Reason being is we all have different body shapes and sizes. We all have different, what we call it is like relative limb length. So Charlie, for example, has really long legs relative to his torso. He's got an average torso, very long legs. I have average torso, average legs. So the way that we fold up, for example, when we do a squat is very different. I have different symptoms and things that are feeling flared up or inflamed or irritated or screaming at me and each and every workout, and so does Charlie. Or sometimes we feel amazing. And so really what it comes down to is that we find that a lot of these AI type stuff, it's encouraging you to go more and more towards the gold standard form, which will lead you astray very often, because the goal here when we exercise to improve our health, not to perform, not to go to the Olympics, not to match a form or to look like a part of a certain identity or like a community or something, but is to make it more and more and more for your body, for where you're at, for what's happening right now in this moment, for your goals. And so again, always remember that you get to choose one or the other. I'm going to go towards what this gold standard form is and compromise what that might mean for me, meaning it might flare you up, especially if your body's telling you to not do that. It might irritate you. It might not be enough in some cases. So again, we want to think body matching. You guys have heard that word before. If not, that's where you're thinking, okay, I'm trying to make this the biggest opportunity for my body, whether I'm holding back on certain places, I'm limiting my motion, I'm doing lots of motion in some places, I'm adding weights, but you're thinking, what is right for my body? And a big piece of that is having the cueing and the almost like the education of like, hey, when you feel this, you need to listen to it and adjust. When you do this, you need to listen to that and adjust, which is not necessarily the gold standard form. It's the constant adjustment for your body.
Absolutely. And this really leads us right into number 2 big issue that we see, is that it's just going to have a limited number of exercise options. Essentially, what we're provided by the mainstream fitness industry is a list of exercise options, okay? And, one of our early instructors kind of called this like, oh, you're a professional Pez dispenser, more or less. It's like, okay, here's this Pez, and here's this Pez, and here's this Pez, and you just kind of consume each individual Pez, and that's like, your flavor that you get for exercise for that day. And there needs to be a transition that takes place from just being a professional Pez dispenser to actually being an exercise professional, where you can build something for the person in front of you, where you can build something that is specific to that person's body. So the reason why I'm saying this is because the AI, this is more or less a computerized professional Pez dispenser, where it's going to say, okay, well, we have this option and we have this option. Because think about how AI works. It more or less scrapes the internet for what seems like all the different options out there, kind of formulates them into what seems to be like the most common responses or common options. And then that's what you get. But just like the idea of like what trying to fit your body to a gold standard version of an exercise, saying, well, these are like the only exercise options for you, that is extremely limiting. And ultimately, that is a surefire way to get injured, because more than likely you're going to need to have to change, or like we were talking about earlier, body match every single exercise option that's actually presented. But the thing is when it is a computerized professional Pez dispenser that's spewing these out, like at least with a human, you can have a conversation and like they can think of something on the spot and think of like different ways to change this. But a computer generated just like AI is just going to be like, okay, well, here's a new Pez. Here's a new Pez, because the variables that need to be considered in order to actually make the changes that need to occur in order for the exercise to feel good for your body and to be matched by your body, it's not something that at this point in AI is going to be able to consider, because that information is not widely accessible, is not widely available, is not within the database that the AIs are being created from.
That's right, Charlie. I think one of the things that I've realized, and this Pez dispenser is a great idea, or a great analogy, because it's almost like saying, like, what should I do for my glutes today? Great. We have 5 options: squats, lunges, the whole thing. Those are the Pez, right? And the thing that comes up commonly, and this is like something I was just troubleshooting with a member yesterday, it was like, so what happens when the squat doesn't work? What normally happens is you cross it off, and now you have 4. And then the lunge doesn't work, and then you cross that one off, and you have 3. So the big picture here, and the way Charlie and I think, is like, don't cross the squat off. We actually have 50 versions of a squat that we can play with, and all the variables that we're going to play with inside of that squat, so that we can make it work for your body. Because again, remember, it's not about taking your squat and making it like the gold standard. It's about taking that squat and making it perfect for your body, for your parameters, for your symptoms, for your joint status, for your limb length changes, for the amount of weight you can handle. I was just working with a member yesterday, and she's like, I don't know, just feel like the squats aren't working for me. And so we really troubleshooted, well, what does not working for you mean? And we changed a lot of the variables. We changed the depth. We changed her thinking. Like, what was she connecting to? What was she thinking was happening? And then her expectation. Like, she feels like she's in this path of, I'm not ready to work. And so she's like, the squats are kind of hard. I think that's not good for me. And so we had to talk about that part. And so there's so many pieces that we are constantly talking about, for example, with our members, that is totally missed when you take out the in-depth background that comes with something like our membership, and you go to something with AI, is that it turns into Pez. We have 5 options for the legs. We have 3 options for the upper body. And yes, I know they have like 20 more options than what I'm saying. But the point being is that then they start getting crossed off. Like, if your body felt amazing with exercise, you probably would be doing it all the time already. And so that's why you're listening. But it's realizing that every exercise has like 50 options and 50 manipulations. And everyone always has to be doing it. Even when you're feeling good, you're constantly adjusting to match your body for that day.
Absolutely. Rep by rep within the rep.
Yeah.
I'm changing like how I'm pulling through my hands or how I'm pushing through my feet. And the AI is not going to be able to guide you on that. It's not going to be able to detect that within your body, going back to point number 1. And so it's incumbent upon you to have to make those changes. But this kind of leads us to big issue number 3, which I'll get to. I'll let you wrap up your point, Julie.
Yeah. And so you'll even see us, like, when we are doing our live videos or our membership videos, that we're adjusting our exercise, and we'll explain, like, hey, I was just feeling this in my shoulder, so now I adjusted down. Make sure you're doing that for yourself, and this is some options that you can use, because again, we want you getting the most out of your workouts. And it's not always just running away from pain. Like, of course, we don't want you to be in pain when you're exercising. But it's also highlighting how can we emphasize what we're trying to work? How can we make this bigger for your body shape and size and history and all that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. So the third big issue that we see with AI-powered fitness is this kind of magic aura around AI leads us to have this kind of blind belief that the AI is right. And we see this across so many industries with people who are using AI from their work, is that they'll put something into, an AI spitter outer that spitter out some stuff.
Spitter outer.
They command it to do some stuff and it spits back out some stuff. And they're like, okay, great. The AI scraped the internet. It's all knowing. So I'm going to start using this. And like we said, we see this across multiple industries, whether it's, attorneys citing court cases, like in court saying, well, there's precedence because of this court case, and like that court case never actually existed, and it comes out come to find out they just used AI to try to create precedents, and the AI was blatantly wrong. So because of this magical aura, because of this blind belief that we end up having around AI, there ends up being an increased opportunity to distract ourselves while we're doing the exercise. Like, oh, well, the AI will just make changes for me as needed. We see this a lot, not only with AI-powered apps, but also with AI-powered equipment that will adjust the resistance while you're doing it. It's like, well, the AI is just going to take care of it for me, so I can just kind of shut my brain off and just kind of go through the motions. And there's such an increased risk for injury with this. There's such an increased risk for ending up feeling sore, achy, beat up after your workouts when you distract yourself and you just kind of shut off your brain and go through the motions. And because AI allows for a greater opportunity to distract yourself, that means there's even more of an opportunity for increased risk for injury, increased risk of soreness, increased risk of ultimately not returning to your exercise, not being consistent with your exercise, which again, if you've been following us for any period of time, you know that that is a giant issue.
That's right. And sometimes, actually, a lot of people will use this kind of like AI, especially data collection, as like, oh, it's so sweet, love it. I even had someone come in and talk to me about, they work at this like chain fitness place. There's probably one close to you, but anyways, I like most of what they do because they're challenging their people. I think a lot of people work out too light, and this place pushes you pretty hard and controlled and all these things. But the limit with that is like, if there's an area that's questionable, like your knees feel questionable or your back feels questionable, then they don't know what to do with that, so they leave it out. And so think about this, like you're working your whole body really great, and then like this one area of your body is getting no stimulus to grow, no stimulus to get conditioned, and that area is now left for injury. Or have you ever like been like, my body feels great, and then the next day you're like, my ankle feels off, what am I gonna do, right? And so it's still this adjustment thing of like feeling, okay, number one, there's minimal adjustments around the symptoms I'm feeling right now, so I just don't do it. Or you're like, well, last time I did 50 pounds on here, so that means the AI thingy is saying 50 or 51 pounds. That's your option or more, right? And so there are times when this AI type of thing is going to match you great. It's like, great, that was an awesome workout. But there's going to be more often than not where the AI tool is going to potentially lead you astray because, again, it's not monitoring what's happening. And you're very focused on like, well, this is what it's saying I should do, so I should do it. So being mindful of that, and that kind of stuff can really lead you to a lot of injury and soreness, which we know is the second most thing that, well, if you get started, it's the number one thing that makes you not keep going is injury. And so we just want, if you're going to get started, if you're going to do it, then let's keep the ball rolling.
Exactly. So how do you go about doing that? What should you be including, even if you are going to follow these AI-powered workouts or these AI-powered apps? You're like, well, I'm really excited about doing it. Cool. Like, we're not telling you to not work out. Like, we want you working out. We just want you working out smarter in a way that matches your body, and you're not just blindly following, again, this AI-generated workout. So what do you need in order to give yourself the best opportunity to make sure that you actually feel good and you can continue on with your workouts? You need the 4 Exercise for Life principles. And those really are the game changer for so many people. Look, the way I like to think about it is the AI is going to provide you the what, meaning it's going to provide you, the PES, the list of exercises that, you can consider doing. And it's going to kind of tell you the what to do, all right? But it's not going to give you the how. It's going to give you the gold standard version, which again, we already talked about how that is a huge issue. But it's not going to tell you the how you need to be doing it for your body. So you can actually leave your workout feeling stronger, moving better, feeling healthier, more energized, more connected to your body. The Exercise for Life principles, that's going to give you the how. Okay, the Exercise for Life principles are like the 20% that's actually going to get you 80% of the results. The AI stuff, that's like the big flashy 80%. You're like, oh my gosh, like this is the thing. It's going to give me all the exercises and, you know, all the workouts and stuff like that. But that's really only like the 20%. That's really only going to drive about 20% of the results. Because remember, when it comes to getting results, you need to challenge your muscles. You need to challenge your body. All right. And that's what the AI is going to provide, is going to be like, hey, here's this opportunity to challenge. But then you need to be able to recover from the challenge, and you need to repeat the challenge. And so that's what the Exercise for Life principles allow you to do. And not only that, but when you apply the Exercise for Life principles, is going to make the challenge that much more specific to your body, which is why it's not 2/3, 1/3 of the equation. It's like the Exercise for Life principles actually get to creep into that, hey, we're getting part of that challenge piece as well. So when we're talking about like 80-20, like what you should be focusing on, focus on your Exercise for Life principles. And then if you want to add in, you know, some AI stuff, but still focusing on the Exercise for Life principles while you're doing it, that is going to be the thing that's going to drive you the results. So you need to learn the Exercise for Life principles. You need to follow the Exercise for Life principles. You need to implement the 4 Exercise for Life principles. And then the what that you're doing becomes much less important, because how you're going about doing it is actually effective for your body. And this is exactly what we teach you to do within the Exercise for Life membership.
That's right. So when we're thinking about the how and the what, let's just break this down so that you got the clearest picture. Okay. The list of exercises that you're going to do in a workout, that's the what. These are the what. These are the exercise. I'm doing a squat, I'm doing a push-up, I'm doing a pull-up, whatever they are. Doesn't matter. That's the what. That is far less important for your body than the how. Are you doing them fast? Are you doing them slow? Are you thinking about Good Morning America that's on the TV? Are you thinking about your music selection? The how. It's like, how am I doing squat today? Am I just following? Am I turning off? Am I tuning out? Which is almost romanticized in the fitness industry. It's like, this is my tune out time. But there's certain things, which are the Exercise for Life principles, that you need to be tuning into, so that no matter what your what is, the how is still leading you down to your goal. Like, I honestly think if you had like 2 or 3 workouts in terms of like lists, like the what's, but you knew how to do the how, you'd be in a different world when it came to your exercise. And when you learn the how, the 4 Exercise for Life principles and how to apply them, then really you can take any type of workout, any workout that you see, and you can change it so that it promotes your health, promotes your muscle strength, promotes your muscle conditioning without making you sore and achy and all that funky stuff that we consider as normal and common. It is not normal, but it is common, because most people don't know the how. They just think get through it. They think no pain, no gain. They think this is how it's supposed to be. Working out shouldn't feel good, so let's make it all feel bad. So that is what the how is. It's not necessarily the list of exercises, which is what AI is really good at. It's the how. It's like, how are you doing these things so that you are able to push your body in the right direction, stay injury free, and really in the end, it's how repeatable is this? Can I do this in 20 years? Can I do this in 30? Can I do this for the length of time that I'm going to be living? That's the goal here. We cannot have our exercise retire us from exercise.
Exactly. I love that last statement. We cannot have our exercise retire us from exercise. So if you'd like some guidance on going about implementing these 4 Exercise for Life principles, if you want to learn what they are, step by step, how to implement them, and actually have us cue you through them every single time you're working out, that's exactly what we do with you within the Exercise for Life membership. Okay. You can get started today by going to www.exerciseforlifestudios.com. You can find out all the information about the Exercise for Life membership there, but every workout within the membership injects these 4 Exercise for Life principles, and we are cueing you every single second of the workout, keeping you focused on what you need to be doing to implement these 4 Exercise for Life principles every step of the way. So who do you know that needs to hear this episode? Who do you know that is looking to start their fitness journey or looking to do something new with their fitness journey? And they're pretty excited about this AI powered fitness stuff. Like, it seems really convenient. It seems really cutting edge, but they're not really sure if it's right for them. Share this episode with them so they can understand what they may need to be a little bit more cautious of when exploring these AI-powered fitness options and how to go about making sure that the workouts are going to work for their body. And while you're online, head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a rating and review. It helps people find our podcast when they're looking for information on exercise and they're looking for information on health. So if you found value in this conversation today, let us know by leaving us that 5-star rating and review. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. We always appreciate it. Have a fantastic week, and we'll talk with you all next week. This podcast is for information purposes only. The statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Julie and Charlie Gates, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse effects from the use of information contained herein. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. This podcast may contain paid endorsements or advertisements for products or services. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to herein. If you think you have a medical issue, consult a licensed physician.